G'day fans and welcome back to yet another exciting episode of DNA Reviews, the penultimate episode. Don't worry about the Docky Who, it's about us. We've only got 2 episodes left and then we're done, dusted, and we're out of town, Mr. Aaron. How exciting is all that?
Well, tonight, next week, and that's it for another year by the looks of things, probably even longer the way things are going behind the scenes. How are you today, mate?
Well, I tell you what, fans, I'm in the zone to talk about the old Docky. And what's funny is that Aaron has sent through so many damn slides that we're here until sometime next week, waiting when the new episode airs. We're going to be here for Yonkensburg. So good to see Greg said hello and Nick has said hello. And good, as we said, Greg loves his Docky Who. So it is very cool, very exciting. And hang on, he's got the spelling right. Yes, D-O-C-K-Y. Very good. So it's all very cool, very groovy, and we have got so much to plow through. I think you have just been like, your head's a bit exploding with all this stuff to do with the Docky. Is that right?
Yep, I finally stopped thinking about Amy's crack, and I'm thinking about Ruby's gap. That'll make sense to a lot of Doctor Who fans.
I'm glad it does, because I have no idea what you're talking about. Anyway, we're here to talk about the old Docky Who, as you well know, the penultimate episode. And we've got something to announce at the end of this episode regarding the final episode of the series. You must stick around for it, especially if you're a Melbourne person. And of course, we are talking about good old Wish World, which is very, very exciting. And as always, I forgot to put the spoilers in there. As always, there will be spoilers, as you well know, fans. So I think everybody's seen the episode so far, which is a very cool, very exciting. And as per our process, we've got the good, the bad, and the uglies. No dumbs this time around. I don't think there was anything in this episode that was particularly dumb. So we look at the good aspects, the bad aspects, and all the conspiracy theory stuff, which Aaron has gone completely burko over, which is very cool, mate.
It's all coming together at the end. At least half of the stuff that I thought was crazy conspiracy stuff turns out looks like it's true.
Well, I'll tell you what, fans, we watched this in the store on Saturday night. So Aaron and Nick, who's on the show tonight, were behind me. I was watching it. We get to the end of the episode, and all I hear from the back row is, "Oh, that wasn't very good. That was pretty crap." And I thought, dude, mate, this is me. I thought it was great. So maybe being the non-fan kind of works for me. So there we go. Mark Smith has said, Docky Who is dead. It's a war cry. I absolutely love it. Good to see a Mark on board. Anyway, we're going to kick it off with the goods. Now, personally, I think they missed the gag on this one. Bavaria 1865. It should have been Bavaria 1701. Get a nice Star Trek reference in there, but they didn't. Mr. Aaron, off you go, sir.
Okay, so we've got a lot of goods to go through, so a lot of them are just quick ones. This is a quick one. Good introduction. Like, it sets up a mystery instantly. Last week we had the TARDIS explode. What happened? We don't know. It goes straight into Bavaria, and we see the Rani riding through a forest. What could be happening? Instantly, it grabs you.
If she was wearing a red cloak, you'd almost think it's a Red Riding Hood thing. But anyway, not to worry. She goes over to this dude, mate.
She does, and apparently the doctor's released more gods, and she's gone to find one of them, and they've called the midwife, but the midwife didn't turn up. They got the Rani instead, which is bad luck from them. But the Rani turns up, and she said, you're very lucky. You're the 7th son of a 7th son, and you're having 7 sons yourself. That's a lot of 7s, isn't it, Dags?
Well, you know what they're missing? The dwarves. I mean, looking at this bottom left-hand corner, they could have easily put happy, grumpy, dopey, and all that sort of stuff in there rather than the kids. I reckon that would have been the ultimate gag. Take them straight out of the Snow White movie or something. That would have been awesome.
I don't know. I think maybe the writers were a bit dumpy, and it made me grumpy. Sorry, a bit dopey, and it made me grumpy watching some of this one.
Oh, dumpy. What can I say? But yeah, 7. I don't know why the 7 is such a big deal, but yeah, 7 dudes of 7 dudes with an extra additional 7 dudes, and the 7th dude has just popped out, which is very cool.
It is, and the Rani's in top form. She goes in there, turns the wife into violets because her name is Violet. And to quote Willy Wonka, Violet, you're turning violet, Violet, as she turns them into a bunch of flowers, which was a very cool scene. Like I said, the pre-credit scene sets up a lot, and there was a lot jammed into this one.
Well, lucky the wife's name wasn't Horse's Ass, because that could have ended quite badly, but anyway. Where am I going with that? But yes, it was interesting to see what's going on. Now, I'm assuming somewhere along the way it's going to be explained why the 7th kid of a 7th kid of a 7th kid is a big deal. But I guess that's for the ugly section. We'll cross those bridges as we come to them. So anyway, moving on.
And we find out that the Rani has taken this child because it's another one of the gods, and it's a god that grants wishes. And oh my goodness, she makes the wish that every Doctor Who fan has been wishing for 2 years: make the Doctor straight again. And it goes straight to the future, and he has got a wife, and it's Belinda.
Very cool. At least the Rani gave the owl a stand to sit on. Oh, that's a good point too. Yes, this is an interesting thing because when it got into the 2025 section and you go into this alternative reality, I was really dialed into it. It really worked for me, actually. And the idea that the Doctor and Belinda are together, you do wonder, had the Docky been with Ruby instead, how that would have gone. So it's not only is it the heterosexual thing, but the interracial as well. But I actually thought it was pretty good and it kind of worked for me.
Well, it's an interesting thing. It's one of those things I don't know how deep we want to get into. When Wonder Woman was released, there was a very similar plot where, there was a wishing stone and they wished things, and Wonder Woman wished that Steve Rogers was back, and it made another guy into Steve Rogers. And they were sort of like, fans were kind of like, that's a bit creepy because it's Wonder Woman is getting her wish with this other guy. This incarnation of the Doctor is obviously homosexual, and the Rani has wished something where he is straight, and that is kind of, when you think about the implications, quite bad and quite creepy for the Doctor. The Master, the Rani, the Doctor, they all sort of have fluid genders, but in the regeneration they seem to don't switch around. I think it's an interesting point to look at it from. I think
it was just made, the world was meant to be just very simplistic, male, female, heterosexual, done. They probably all got the same religion and everything, just purely on a simple level. Mark has joined us, which is great to see, and first-time viewer Tim Cutter has joined us as well, which is very, very cool. So we've got a mixture of everybody turning up, which is awesome. Lots to talk about, fans, and we're still on the goods. So away you go, sir.
We are, and it's a good because it's intriguing. Like I said, we see the Doctor. Last time we saw them, they were in the TARDIS, and the TARDIS exploded in a rush of flames. And now the Doctor has a family. He's married to Belinda, and Poppy from Space Babies, and also the Story and the Engine is their child, and they're watching Connor from Lucky Day on the TV, who seems to be in control of this world.
Dude, mate, even as a non-Doctor Who fan, it's Conrad, not Conrad.
Conrad.
Mate, get it right, dude. Remember, it's Scarrow, not Scarrow, okay? So, come on, man. What's the deal? Get with the program, son. I know what's going on. I've got to say, see, speaking of programs, you are talking about good old Conrad. He's on the tube. Now, I do wonder how many prop collectors are going to be manufacturing that particular book cover. I reckon that'd be one for fans out there, which is kind of groovy.
Yeah, probably on Etsy at this moment you can download it and cover over your Harry Potter book, because that's what it seems to be based on. But again, a really intriguing start with Conrad reading about the Doctor, calling him Doctor Who. And it's one of those things we've seen all season where, is this whole season fictional? Is there a level within a level of this series? Is there going to be a god of fiction controlling it? Is Conrad maybe the god of fiction? This episode kind of explains it, but not the way I thought it was going to fall out. But I did think it was a very strong start to this episode that set up a lot of interesting themes to follow through the episode.
Yeah, I think it was good having Conrad come back because obviously he left on a bit of a dodgy ending last time, being stuck in jail. And of course, that episode links to this episode and they explain all that. So from my perspective, I thought that's kind of groovy. The dude that everybody hates is back in the show, and he seems to be on the tube on a regular basis. As I assume this is Russell. You say Scarrow, I say Scarrow, yeah, whichever. So there we go. He's under a different name tonight, but there you go. Now this part I thought was good. And now this is another one for the prop collectors. Who's going to run out and buy all these yellow mugs, sticking them in their shelves? And, of course, people in someone's house going, why are they all yellow? So, mate, it's a Doctor Who thing. You're going to love it.
Yellow mugs, the way to go. And, again, I thought this was good, like you did. Why are all these yellow mugs? Why do they break so many mugs? Why do they talk about slips and doubts and things like that? So it sets up some intriguing premises that promise to be answered later in the episode.
Nick has said, I've lost it here, love that the book is written by I.M. Foreman. Okay, obviously you need to zoom in. To be right down there, I.M. Foreman. Okay, yeah, that's very, very good.
It's in a later slide.
Okay, cool. I like the yellow mug thing. I really did. And of course, it's all about creating a distraction. The moment someone's having the doubt thing going on, something breaks. Oh, we're all got a massive distraction going on. We're just going to clean up the mess and bloody, bloody, blah. That worked for me. It really did. So, yeah, I've got to say that at this point, I'm in the show. I'm invested in it. I'm going, oh, mate, where can I get me book? Where can I get me yellow mug? I'm good to go. And then, of course, Ruby turns up. It's even better.
So Ruby turns up, and as you said, even better. As soon as we saw Millie Gibson was in the opening credits, that instantly makes the episode better for me. I think she's one of the best things about the new era of the show. And again, this is intriguing as well. And we'll talk about this later, but this episode mirrors a lot 73 yards, where again she's out on her own. No one sees the world how she does. No one really, in this one, no one remembers her. It's not a case of not wanting to be with her. So, and as that was one of my favorite episodes last series, I thought this is off to a really good start, and it's all coming together really well.
Yeah, it worked for me too, and I did like the fact that he didn't know who she was, and I thought, as I said, I'm getting really invested into what's going on here. It's really intriguing. Gregor said, "Love to have Mel's bin." I assume it's Belinda's bin, mate. Even I know. Crikey, doesn't anybody get this stuff right now except for me? It was half full of broken mugs. Yes, so that's the whole thing about the doubting.
No, Greg knows what he was talking about. Mel lives next door, and she has a full bin.
I knew that. Don't you worry about it. I've only ever watched the episode once. You know, all I'm seeing is all these mistakes being made by these people who call themselves fans. So, and I thought, I knew Greg. I thought he won't get that one wrong. He's on the ball, unlike Aaron, who just can't remember Conrad to save his life. But there you go. So, yes, Ruby turns up, and that was very, very groovy. There's always one person who doesn't fit into the scheme of things, and she's it. And, of course, when the doctor has no idea who she is, I thought, this is really, really cool stuff. So it's really... My buttons are being pushed at this point, Mr. Aaron, which is very, very cool. I like my buttons being pushed.
And as Greg said, Mel lives next door. She has a bin full of doubts. But what I again thought was good, I thought this episode kept ramping it up. Now there is a reporting system, like some level of authority, where if people have doubts or too many doubts, you're calling them, because you can dob on your neighbours. This is the equivalent of saying, "Hello, is that the Germans? Anne Frank's writing something in the room upstairs."
Freaking idiot.
So yeah,
crikey. Yeah, go on.
So we set up this thing, as Greg said. Mel, who's the doctor's companion, has a lot of doubts, obviously, because she's travelled with the doctor, so her bin is quite full as well. So you see this whole world has these orange bins labelled slips. I guess when people slip up, or when it slips through the table, there's a lot of rubbish. Do you know what? Being the capitalist dog, I'd probably open a orange cup shop in this world. You'd do pretty well, wouldn't you?
You would, especially considering the cups are yellow, not orange. I like the fact that the phones are the old style dial telephones. That was really cool, right? And you can, once again, it's just pure simplicity, and it kind of works. You're thinking all this retro stuff's going on as to why it's there and why it's like that. Because theoretically, if who created this world, right? The Rani, or it was the Rani created this world, right?
Well, this is one of the things we'll go into in the bads.
So you're not entirely sure, right? So someone created the world and said, "No, keep the phones basic." I'm just wondering as to why that was, because I was thinking if it happened to be Conrad, it wouldn't have made any sense. But yes, anyway, it doesn't matter. All good. So yes, I did like the idea of the phones, and it's all very, very, very artificial, but to a way where old fans can relate to it, which I thought was kind of cool. Yeah.
Yep, and again, we have another intriguing conversation where, although Belinda has a family, she can't remember the birth of her own daughter, and it causes her to have doubts, because her family is saying to her, well, everybody remembers the birth of her own daughter, but her mum can't remember being in there either. So it sets up this paradox of having the perfect family, but no memory and no backstory to it. So I thought the story was travelling along really well at this point.
Well, the funny thing is, and this is where the broken mugs come into it, because someone asks a question and then you go, I don't know the answer, the mug will break. And then, as I said, you get distracted. But you are right. Clearly, the system would have holes in it, because unless you think, I know, I've got a concern about something, but I'm not going to vocalize it, because if I vocalize it, then someone's going to dob me into the thought police. So, and the fact that nobody knew the answer to the question, I thought was actually really cool. It actually had very much like Dark City overtones to it. So anybody who's
Yes.
seen Dark City, humans captured by aliens, all their minds are wiped, and the bloody blah blah. And William Hurt's character says, "Well, I own a piano accordion that his mother gave to him, but he doesn't remember his mother giving it to him. It's because it never actually happened." Oh, I thought that was kind of cool. It mirrored that. That's what I was thinking at the time. Yeah.
We are on the same wavelength. This goes for really long tonight. Sorry, guys, but I was going to put some Dark City slides in because there was a lot of stuff like this in this, but just we would have been here for hours if we'd put all the parallels in. But I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, well, don't worry, fans, because this is the penultimate episode. We're going to milk it for all it's worth, so don't you worry about that. You're going to be here for a while.
And what I thought was great, even though Belinda's life seems amazing, the experience she has makes her so uncomfortable. All she can do is run off into the woods and scream. And I thought that was a fantastic scene as well, because it really shows behind this amazing, perfect veneer, everyone is slowly going mad because they know something is wrong.
Well, that's the thing. As I said, you'd have all these people who know something's up the spout, but they're not prepared to say anything about it. With that in mind, I have no idea how to pronounce this. Shemeh, whatever. Yo, g'day. Hey, good to see you. Yo. And, of course, we've got Christy as well, who's apologising for being late. And Colin, of course, said the old shut it down, which is a famous quote from Dark City, which is particularly cool. Moving on with the goods, Mr. Aaron.
Okay, we're revealed the inside of the Rani's bone palace, and it's got, again, fantastic production designs. It looks cinematic, absolutely. When we go have a look at the uglies later, there's a lot of parallels to a lot of different movies that kind of use this kind of design. Where instantly we see the seal of Rassilon, so we know it's Gallifrey, and we're going to be talking about the Time Lords. And we have these new amazing aliens that remind me a little bit of the operators from John Wick, but these ones are really creepy. The operators with Del Toro sort of Pan's Labyrinth look to them or something reminded me a bit of the Watchers in the for the Imperial Void in Flash Gordon as well, where they're sort of half mechanical and things like that. So great look, new aliens look fantastic. Can't fault anything in the Bone Palace.
Yeah, I like the women with the thing over the head and the fingers that extended down. That was actually really groovy. And you are right, you could easily put those into a horror movie. Being a non-Doctor Who fan, now that I know it's called the Seal of Rassilon, when that popped up in the episode, I go, oi, I recognise that. I don't know what it is, but I recognise it. How cool am I? I wonder if the guys behind me have recognised it. But I thought, mate, I'm the coolest cat in town. Oi, it's a Doctor Who thing, which is very, very groovy. So, yes, absolutely love it. It's almost like Space Baby's back again. Little dudes, mate.
So this has pros and cons, the baby in this for me. But I have to say it was a pro that this baby is granting them wishes, but they have to be so respectful of it as well, because they're saying it's absolutely terrifying. And it kind of reminds me, do you know the section of the Twilight Zone movie where the kid can grant all the wishes, and instead of everything going right, everyone is absolutely terrified of him because they might get put into a cartoon like Lux, or they might be eaten by a giant rabbit Jack-in-the-Box or things like that. And if a baby was given control of unlimited wishes, the Rani even says, can't have that happening because it'd fill the world with breast milk. Not a sentence I thought I'd ever hear on Doctor Who, but there you go. But I did like the concept of it's awesome and terrifying at the same time, and they're using it, but they're also in awe of it as well.
Yeah, I heard that and think about the breast milk thing too, and it conjures a lot of images about how a baby would say, yes, I want breast milk everywhere. And it's like, okay, let's just figure that one out later. That's one for the writers to work out the logistics of that. But I thought, if the baby is granted all the wishes, of course, the baby's brain hasn't developed yet, unless it has developed, and it's just in a baby's body. Is that how it's meant to work?
I'm not sure. Again, it's not really specified. It is as well, again, one of the pantheons of gods, and it does the giggle from all the other God episodes as well.
I just figured it out. All babies love dummies, so they've just populated the entire wish world with dummies, which is all the characters. So, anyway, don't know. So yes, very good. Off to make a sandwich.
And then what I do like, and this could have been a bad as well, because I think Mrs. Flood has kind of been a little bit sidelined, and I really liked the character. But I like that the episode actually says, yes, she's been sidelined, and shows that she's now running second fiddle to the Rani. She is a Rani, but there is the Rani. And that's the thing, when you get all these bad guys together, there's always going to be an alpha one. And I did think it was weird that the Rani had just been on a trip on her sky sled to Italy to get food so they could make a sandwich, and Mrs. Flood is in the deli or in the kitchen cutting up a sandwich. And while she's cutting up the sandwich, she is complaining about being ordered around and told what to do. And I thought that was a fantastic character moment for her.
Christy said dummies or pacifiers. They're called pacifiers in America. We call them dummies here. I was thinking about the Rani. It said you've got an A Rani and a B Rani. If you go down a few letters of the alphabet, the flock of seagulls would have an I Rani. You'll see that in the wedding singer. Don't you worry about that. I was thinking hard on that joke. I can tell you that now. And I Rani. Anyway. So, yes, very, very cool. All right, so here we go. Fun fact, the seal of Rassilon was originally leftover prop from an earlier Cyberman story, and then they reused it on the first story set on Gallifrey. It became a series icon. How about that? So, yes, very, very cool. Still sticking with the goods, Mr. Aaron.
There's a lot of goods, and it's one of those where we go through, there's some goods and bads in this scene, but I've gone for goods because there is one concept that I think is particularly interesting, what I've picked out of this scene, and that's like the people who are disabled or downtrodden or a lower class of citizen aren't as affected as much by the wish world because they are unnoticed by Conrad. And you've got this sort of level of he doesn't see them because they're beneath him, as in he's such a terrible person, he doesn't even acknowledge them half the time. And they even say to Ruby, yes, we've always been here, it's just you don't notice us. And what that happens in society. I've grown up in Melbourne, and the older I've got, the more sort of homeless people have been in Melbourne. And you can deal it in different ways. And a lot of the ways we deal with it is just by ignoring them till they become something you just walk by and it's part of the furniture and you don't see. So I do like that that's a plot point where, because he's concentrating on everyone who aren't dummies and who he's trying to warp to his will, that the untouchables are not buying it and they're seeing through it. What isn't explained is why Ruby doesn't get affected by this. And I do hope we're going to go back to last series of her being special, which wasn't really explained, and we're going to have it explained next week. I'm crossing my fingers on that. They ask her, what's wrong with you? And she says, I'm a little bit short, which I think is funny because I do remember when she was with Rose, Donna's daughter, in scenes together, you could really see how short Millie Gibson was. So I think it's funny they've actually acknowledged it in the episode. So I like that scene. I thought it was some good stuff there.
Very cool. Gregor said, speaking of lines we never thought we'd hear in Docky Whom. Oh, there we go. I thought I'd hear, it could be said that you sprang for my loins. Yeah, I think I heard that as well, I think. So, yeah, there you go. It's, yeah, what can I say except move on?
And I did like when Ruby sort of gets glimpses of what should be. She also remembers the alternate reality she was in 73 Yards, which she didn't originally remember. And one of the things I thought was a really deep cut, for those who've been watching the show, we thought it was a particularly dark thing that happened in 73 Yards. Ruby says that Conrad is a monster. And that goes back to 73 Yards, where Marty says, what's his name? William Epp. What was his name? Anyway, the guy in that was a monster. And it's one of those things where this series seems to be echoing themes. One of them is that all men are pretty much horrible. But, well, forget that. And they've both now experienced going out with someone they consider a monster. So when she was in that sort of remembering from 73 Yards, she definitely knows something is up with this world, and there's something special about Ruby where she's not affected by the wishes.
Yeah, completely with you on that one. All right, we're going to move on.
Yep. And then we get this scene where we even talk about Ruby's parents have done the same thing, where she experienced doubts and her mum either gets on the phone to beep at that old owl, or to the wish bureau and reports her. Even her grandma, who is bedridden, says someone put gazump upon you, which is something I'd like to see. But I think it's one of those things where you see that the world is so oppressed by the wishes and by the total control, you can't even trust your close family. And this is the second time this has happened to Ruby, where her mum and her grandma and family have betrayed her. It happened in 73 Yards. So we see themes that have been happening through this series happening again and again. Is it on purpose? I don't know yet, but it's very interesting to see.
Yeah, it's funny when you have those scenarios regarding these kind of worlds, and you go, everybody's sort of locked down and sort of put into a very, very, let's put it, a communist sort of concept. And of course, you've got those people who want to break out of it, but you'll have those people who go, no, this is the great world. This is an awesome life. And you are right. The moment there's someone who's coming along who's trying to upset the apple cart, you're going to call them out, and it doesn't matter who it is. You are going to call the authorities accordingly. That has been echoed through elements of history before. So it's once again, it's all about perspective. Those who think, yep, the world is great, and those who are going, no, there's something wrong with it, but we don't know how to fix it. So interesting sort of observation. It was a very good point that they should do that her parents should say, no, you're going to have to get taken away. And of course, when that occurs, they themselves would also be questioned to say, well, okay, have you been influenced by Ruby? But anyway, move on.
Okay, and again, we have some explanation of what's happening with the giant creatures, which I've actually put in the bad. We'll talk about later, because I hope they explain them. But some of the guys in the wheelchairs and the disabled say they seem to be bleeding through from a world that used to exist, which doesn't make sense for me, because if Wishworld replaced Earth, we didn't have these big bony dinosaur things walking through to bleed through. So maybe there's something more. I'm hoping, we'll talk about it down the track, maybe it's Gallifrey that's bleeding through and the Rani's trying to bring back Gallifrey or something like that. But I did think the conversation was at least interesting as they were going through it.
I just to refresh my memory, they said the Earth ended on May the 24th, 25th? 26th?
Yes, this is before the Earth ended, because they're saying, they keep talking about May Day and how it's a big public holiday there, and how that's where the Time Vindicator was bringing them back to that date and stuff like that. So we're seeing the lead up to that event.
That's unfortunate, because we're already past that date, the 24th of May. So anyway, not to worry. Stick with the cups. Break a few cups. Let's go in the whole Greek smashing plate scenario there, Mr. Aaron.
Well, you see, Belinda's upstairs and she hears the doctors downstairs doing something, and he's now working out that the whole thing with the cups, and he's got all these cups there, and he's thinking about it, and the more doubts he has, the more he can smash them. But he's worked out this is what's happened, so he can do it on command now. And of course, what does she do? She rings up the bureau, and the Dream Police are on their way over. So I did think that was good, where even though Belinda has doubts herself and can't live with herself at sometimes, she's still programmed enough to call and dob in her husband because of what's happening.
Well, the important thing is that if you're going to have an industry in this world, making those freaking cups is the go, dude. Mate, I'm a cup manufacturer. I've got more money than anybody. So, you need another 6,000 cups, do you?
The most important thing on this world is working out what day what coloured bins go out. Your blue bin on one day, your green bin, your orange bin, your green bin with the red lid. Oh, today's cup day.
Dude, every day's orange day. Just don't overthink it, son. Just chuck in your smashed cups and you're good to go. So fantastic. And I love the fact that Mrs. Flood turns up as a police officer. I thought it was really cool.
I love the fact that Mrs. Flood turns up as a police officer. This is really cool. That's what I was going to say too. I do like that, even though she's playing second fiddle to the Rani, she's like head of the thought police and going out. And I did think it was very cool that they took the doctor away, and then Mrs. Flood goes, "Oh no, you're going too. Your mum dobbed you in. You've been having doubts as well." So that serves their right for calling and dobbing kind of thing. But I do think it's just something they couldn't help doing because the wish is so strong they can't overcome what they're compelled to do.
Yeah. Marcus said that factory would be working overdrive. Absolutely fantastic. And I do agree with Colin here. Colin, yeah, cups. I'll buy that for $1. Yes, it would be very, very cool. I like this. Hello, hello, hello. You got to swing the cups.
I tell you,
hello, hello, hello. What's going on here?
I tell you what, I wonder if those cups are like a off-the-shelf product from, like, you know, some shop in England who can now rebrand them and say Wish World Doctor Who cup replicas and sell a whole lot of them.
So the funny thing is, you say screen used, it was in the back of someone's cupboard. You know, it was just barely in the back there. And of course, how can you tell? They're all exactly the same. So yes, but I reckon that's actually very, very funny.
Well, you know what? You know what happens?
What?
You have that and you're having tea and you drop it and smash it. And you go, no, don't throw it out. Put on eBay, screen used smashed cup.
Oh, dude. So you get your Doctor Who fans over for a viewing and you say, you've got all these yellow cups. And of course, no one's going to say, mate, just put those in the dishwasher. Bugger that, just smash them on the ground. Screen accurate, it's all good. So, yeah, I like this for Marky's ordered a pallet. Tell you what, it is the way to go. I reckon it's just unbelievably ingenious. So, yes, very, very cool. Anyway, we got to see the Seal of Rassilon. It was very, very exciting. A whole lot of stuff was going on. And the Daft Punk guys are back again, Mr. Aaron.
I know. I didn't bring that up. I don't even know why they're back. I discuss later. There's a whole lot of things from different episodes hidden in this episode. They were one of them. They were from Wish World not Wish World. They were from the Interstellar Song Contest last week. But the Rani comes along where the Doctor and Belinda are now her prisoner, and she starts just exposition. The Seal of Rassilon. You were the Doctor. The Battle of Persephone. We were lovers. We danced and stuff like that. So again, I talk about this in the bad as well later, but there was some good dialogue. There was some very Russell T Davies dialogue between the Rani and the Doctor, and it did, I guess, give a background to what was happening and why Wish World was there and the doubts and why there were doubts and trying to build the doubts up kind of thing. So I thought that was an interesting scene as well.
Russell has said, under a different name, I could see Aaron buying a bunch of the cups and selling them. Dude, while we were watching the episode, I'm hearing all these noises from behind me because we're in the shop. And I go, what are you doing back there, dude? I'm trying to watch the episode. He's mate, I'm on friggin' AliExpress ordering 6,000 friggin' cups, which is part of Mark Dunn's pallet. So Docky Who cups, mate, Aaron's Collectibles. What could possibly go wrong? We're selling the Docky Ockies. What can I say from the last season? So
it was actually a lot different where me and Nick were on the pottery wheel a la Ghost, like pulling cups up while you were watching the episode.
Oh, this is just an image. Nick's watching this right now. I reckon he's probably laughing his head off. Oh, dear. Wrap your lips around those pottery wheels. What can I say? Oh, you're a bad dude. Very, very cool. Moving right along.
And I thought this was interesting. We often get flashbacks of the Doctor. Indeed, we did in this one, but you don't get flashbacks of a lot of the different regenerations of other Time Lords, and the fact that they had the 3 different Rani appearances, including the Children in Need special, which I didn't think could ever be exploited or used ever, was interesting as well. So give this a good just because they put it in. I always love seeing, clips and pictures from the old show. Being someone who grew up with the old show, it always is like a boost when it comes on. Did you didn't know the Rani or that character at all, did you?
I still don't know who the damn Rani is. Everybody keeps talking about. Last week, for those who were watching for the first time, I got told off by somebody who was watching for the show for the first time, thinking, "How could I not know who the Rani is?" And I said, "I got no freaking idea who that is." Remember, I'm not a fan here, fans. There's no Docky Who patches on this jacket. I can tell you that right now. So, speaking of your pottery wheel, Nick said it was a good time.
Well, I was a bit disappointed because I said to him, "Do you want to go back to my Bone Palace afterwards?" And he said, "No, I'd rather go to the Blue Oyster Bar."
God, Jesus, dude, at least you didn't want to. Oh, mate, where are we going with this? I tell you what, it's getting out of control. Anyway, so we get towards what is the end of the episode, mate. What's going to happen with this, Mr. Aaron?
And I thought it was a good end to the episode in that the Rani does like what a lot of villains don't do. They say, "We don't trust you, Doctor, and we're going to get rid of you and we're going to kill you straight away." So it is part of the story that she had to tell him what was going on to create doubt. And then as soon as the doubts hit the point where he could remember who he was, she was like, right, you're dead. Leaves him out onto a balcony. They saw them priming the balcony earlier. And then they blow up what they've primed and he falls down. And I do wonder if this is going to be what causes him to regenerate next week, his fall from this balcony, if he regenerates at the end of this series.
Well, look, a lot of serials from the 1930s where you used to have the cliffhanger ending and you go, how are they going to get out of that one? I mean, clearly that's what's supposed to happen here. How is he going to survive this? He's fallen from a great height. He doesn't really know who he is. Mate, it could end badly. I mean, it would be rather ironic if the very start of the next episode, the last episode, he hits the deck and he's splattered and suddenly turns into somebody else and go, well, see you, Shooty. Nice knowing you, son. Who's next? But I reckon he'll survive somehow or other. So, you know what these things are like. Guess what, fans? That's the end of the goods. That's it. We're done. Dusted. Wish World is the goods of Gonskis. We're now on the bads. We're going to sink the boots into this episode. What can I say? No holds barred. Where about your dunnies? Get smash some yellow cups. Let's get into it because we've got some of this, Mr. Aaron.
Well, I've gone back to the opening, which I did think was good, but there were some technical issues. It is amazing. It is amazing that in the woods in the middle of ancient Bavaria, there's halogen studio lights for her to ride by in the background. I was like, okay, what's the deal with that?
Oh, come on, man. It's not like Hammer horror movies where they used to just put a filter on the camera just to make it look at nighttime. And you say, but there's clearly shadows from the sun on the ground, even if it's meant to be dark. Come on, dude. That's just...
Well, the other thing, it's on the same slide. That's just a little technical nitpick.
Yep.
How does she know? Like, okay, he's the seventh son of a seventh son of a seventh son. How does she know that baby is going to be the incarnation of a god? I would have liked just something that said an ancient text said that you were the seventh son who was going to give birth to a god or something like that. Her just turning up as the midwife and saying, I'm going to steal your baby because she giggles like the gods and gives wishes. I was like, oh, that's a bit on the nose writing wise.
Dude, there's enough exposition in this damn episode as it is. We don't need a bit more. Oh, this is the reason why I know this kid's a god. Even Tim has said, I should know that. I have no idea who the Rani is. I'm not a Docky Who fan. I'm just pushing the damn buttons here. Aaron has made me watch these damn episodes. It's got nothing to do with me. I profess my innocence. So, yeah. So
you should see Dags. Me and Nick are on the pottery wheel. Dags is like Clockwork Orange with his eyes pinned open, screaming as he watches Doctor Who.
Oh, mate, I tell you what, with a bit of Beethoven. Actually, what's the song from last week that everybody's playing? The Dungery, whatever it's called?
Duggadoo.
That's what I'm listening to as I've got my eyes open. It's not Beethoven's fifth or seventh or whatever it was. I've got the Duggery-Doo thing going on while that's happening. I tell you what, massive punishment for me. All right, back to the orange bins, dude. Yeah, Duggadoo. Thank you very much.
Okay, now I thought this was really, really strange. I don't know why they did this or if it was important. I don't know if it's a really bad thing because I did like all the cups were the same, all the bins were the same color, and then you've got Sue Triad from last season turns up as a sort of coffee lady, and she gives him a cup of totally different color. Or just a white normal one. So even if you look at Ruby's coffee cups, they're all the orange or yellow. But I was like, is this going to be special? No. For me, it was just not seriously terribly bad, but just something that broke the whole continuity for me, though.
Obviously, it was intentional because it's a subtle way of saying the dude is different, right? He doesn't really fit in. The cup doesn't fit in. I didn't even notice that, but I thought, oh, that's actually quite clever. You're right. It's not something you're meant to build on. It's like, but like you pick it up and go, oh, the cup's a different color. Maybe in the world, or the lady who's serving the coffee, she knows that there's something different about John Smith. Even Greg has said, wondered how the Rani knew the baby was a god. What is it with you two thinking the same way? It's like, yeah.
Well, I tell you what, it does make sense because I guess from your point of view, they'd have to give him a different color cup so they knew that was his, because if they gave him the same color ones, he might steal them.
Well, you never know. So there you go. So you could say, look, I've got all my yellow cups in the cupboard. How cool am I? But I got the ultra rare white one, which is just plain white, could be from anywhere. That is the coolest of the lot. So Yeah, I was waiting. Oh no, I'm going to stop. I was going to get us banned. There's a good joke about coffee cups because they come in different colors, white and so on. So let's move on, shall we?
So this is another one. These looked great, but for me, I love it when Doctor Who looks great because we've had years and years of dodgy monsters and stuff, and you can't fault the series at the moment. But I do like for there to be a reason, and I can understand you've got the Rani's Bone Palace or Bone Castle or whatever they're calling it because that's her headquarters.
Well,
But having these,
dude, you remember there's no place like like Bone.
that's what the Doctor has hung up on the TARDIS.
Yeah, get on with it.
So they have these huge, big, impressive skeletons of dinosaur-like things. I thought Shirley at one point was calling them spina bifidus, but that was actually apparently what was wrong with her. So these are these dinosaurs that are sort of walking around from another dimension. Are they past things from Earth? Are they from Gallifrey? Are they something else? I really hope they explain it. I really hope they do.
Yeah, look, I like the city concept, but the dinosaurs lost me. In fact, when the episode finished, I turned to these two guys who were just going, "It's a boring episode." And go, "What was the deal with the dinosaurs?" Because I just could not fathom that one at all. Yeah, that was just kind of bizarre. It's like putting in a special effect for the sake of putting in a special effect. Yeah, anyway, not to worry. Gregor said, are the skeletons just some random, hey, this would be cool thing conjured up by Conrad? Yeah, you do wonder what the deal is, eh? So, yeah. I'm not entirely sure on that one. But yes, anyway, no worries.
So, love it or hate it, the last two series have been loaded with a lot of, I guess, I don't even know how to say it, like sprinkled with stuff that, comes into society these days. And I don't even understand where they're trying to push this, where, we had like the episode a few weeks ago where the Doctor, someone calls one love and dear and babe, and it's a soldier, and he turns around and says that's not appropriate. And now in this one, you've got like one of the other characters who we know who's under the influence of Wishworld saying you can't call another man beautiful. Now, is that to enforce that Conrad is evil because he doesn't let anything that doesn't conform exist? I don't mind there being, issues that they want to explore in Doctor Who. Sometimes they do it really well, and sometimes it seems crowbarred in, and this seems to be a little crowbarred in. I don't even know what they're trying to go with this one, though. That's why it's a bit frustrating that it's there, because it kind of stops the episode, and, we have to talk about this issue again before we get back into it.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit over the pushing the agenda, pushing the barrow thing. I hope whoever the next Doctor is, male, female, or whatever, they look at the opposite sex and go, "Oh, that's a hot one. That's a babe. We wouldn't mind porking her or whatever," just to balance it out. Because currently it's all one side, and it's just like, all right, you're almost looking for it now. It's like, oh, where are we going to push the agenda one more time? It's like, all right, back it off, fans. Yeah, I mean, could have said, I mean, men don't call other men beautiful, but they can say they're attractive. I mean, there are guys out there you go, that's a good looking dude. But yeah, you can see where they're going with this, and I thought it was totally unnecessary. But anyway, whatever. Marcus said, "Hope all this build up leads to something unlike a dog on a lead last season." We read that comment and go, "What? Oh, he's talking about Sutek being held onto by an Ocky strap, by the way, Docky Ockies. One day you'll be able to buy them at Aaron's Collectibles for a shitload of money because the capitalist dog is going to be selling them for a fortune." So you heard it here first, fans. There you go. Very good. Sticking with the bads, Mr. Aaron. Conrad, what's he done now?
Okay. What he's done is he's not Conrad from the last episode, is he? The last episode, Conrad was, a total misogynist, hated anything that didn't sort of appeal to him. If he was given wishes, this is not the wish that he would have. Like, I hope it's explained why he's doing this in the next episode and if he's being forced to do it. They actually say they gave the baby to you to give wishes. I do not think he would be sitting down in his natty, like, linen suit talking about the weather in different countries and reading the story of Doctor Who. I think he would be, creating the world in his own image, how he wanted it, not the Rani.
See, there's another way of looking at this, right? If you're a guy who used to do podcasts, and the thing about podcasts is not everybody listens to podcasts, and you go, what would my wish be? My wish would be that everybody knows who I am, and it's all they can see is me. So he'd be on the TV all the time, crapping on about whatever it is crapping on. But so I used to have a podcast called Lucky Day that no one gave a shit about. Now I'm going to be telling you a story on television about Docky Who, and the whole world is watching. That's the ultimate as far as he's concerned. That's how I would have interpreted that. So,
well, I really thought that his personality made him do the podcast because he was into finding out what was all these conspiracy theories, and it was one of the way to get there. I didn't think it was about the fame for him. I might be wrong.
See, to me, it was all about the attention, right? So it's the whole thing of saying, how can I make myself bigger and broader and grander than the guy next to me? And of course, what happened in Lucky Day sort of really amplified that. So in this, you're saying, it's like saying, like in your case, saying, well, what's the one wish that Aaron would have? Oh, the biggest collectible store in the world, and there are no other collectible stores. It's just me, and that's it. So boost that ego, son. That's what it's all about. You want to buy your yellow cups? There's only one place on the planet you can get it from, and that's me, including Docky Yockies, as I mentioned a moment ago.
and that's Mark Dunn's house because he bought all of the ones up.
Yeah, exactly. The whole pallet load of them. But that's the reason why I would have seen it as saying it's the massive ego boost, even if he is crapping on about things that he doesn't give a shit about, really. John Smith, love the name. Sounds good.
Okay, this is another one for me where we've seen John Smith before. In Human Nature, we saw that the Doctor did not know who he was. He was this creation, John Smith, which is his alias when he has to give a name to anyone. And the John Smith in Human Nature was so much better than this version of John Smith. I kind of thought it was another wasted episode of this Doctor where we only have 8 episodes a season. You have one episode where the Doctor isn't playing himself. The John Smith in Human Nature was interesting and intriguing, and the Time Lord stuff bled through, and everyone still thought he was amazing. The John Smith in this was a very white bread John Smith. He wasn't really intrigued by anything. When Ruby turned up, he kind of shook it away, and then when he sees stuff at the unit headquarters, he doesn't really do anything about it. I like the Doctor who is proactive to solving the solution. If no one had taken him by the lapels like the Rani and shook him and said, this is what's happening, he would have been just blissfully going through that life forever. And I thought that was a bit of a waste of the Doctor's character. I could have done that for a quarter of the episode, and then the Doctor works out something weird is going on and manages to make himself go to the Rani with Ruby or with something. But the whole point that they couldn't do anything and they didn't do anything, and what is happening is because of what is happening to them, not that they're being proactive in moving the story along, I thought was very disappointing.
See, I'm the opposite. I really liked it. He's completely engulfed in this world, and it's like the Truman Show to a large degree. And even though there's like little indicators like the cups falling through the table and whatever else, he knows that something's wrong, but he can't put his finger on it. And that worked for me. I had no problem with it. So, you might be the smartest dude in the room, but if your entire world or your brain or your mind is completely encapsulated with this artificial environment, you wouldn't doubt it. Even in this case, he slowly does, but he's not able to figure it out himself. So, yeah, you and I can sort of see it differently on that one. So that's right. All good.
And the other thing I thought, oh, no, please don't do this. Like, they have one working iPad. Where did they get it from? And then this is going to bring down the whole of Conrad's, power, and their scheme is, the plan is to get Conrad to leave the Bone Palace. I just like, this is a very, very loose scheme. How do the 3 of them going out, 2 of them in wheelchairs with an iPad, manage to get this scheme to happen? And what are they actually going to do if they do get that to happen? And I just thought, I would have liked, again, Ruby and Shirley, who's a great character, to come with actually a solid plan that was really good and really smart, rather than going, well, we found this technology, we barely remember what it does, and we don't know what our plan is, but we're going to go and sit under the Bone Palace and it's going to work somehow. And I just thought, it's all a bit wishy-washy for me.
Yeah, I thought the whole thing of having the 2 women in the wheelchairs is like, oh mate, you're kind of limiting your options there, because like anything, like even in the shop we just had a moment ago, if they had to go, dare I say it, lost the shot. If they had to go upstairs, they'd be stuffed. So and that sort of thing. So it just seemed a little bit too. It's like, what are the chances they're not going to get caught? So I don't know. But I tend to agree with you. It was a bit on the weak side. So yeah, fair enough.
And unless this comes back next week, they made this big deal about crossing the threshold into the Bone Palace and, being, very trepidate, I've lost the word, very nervous about going through it. And the doctor goes through first and says, "Oh, it's okay." And then Belinda goes through after him. I did think it would be cool if the Rani said, "This is a fixed point in space. It isn't affected." If when they went through there, they got all their memories back. But when they went through there, it was exactly the same. So I don't know what the point of that scene was.
Yeah, and Christy said regarding the technology, miraculously it connected to the right network with the big red button that claps all the evil plans. Yes, exactly right. It's the ID for Independence Day scenario. Yes, our computers can talk to alien computers without a problem, even though our own computers won't talk to our own computers. So, yes, it's a little bit too convenient sometimes. I guess they needed the characters there. But yeah, if there was a weak element to the story, from my perspective, aside from stupid bone dinosaurs running around, that was definitely one of them where they're all underneath the tower. Sticking with it.
Oh my goodness, is this annoying? Like, they have Rogue back, and Rogue is in a hell dimension, whatever that is meant to mean. We have had them in Doctor Who before, actually, but it's never really been explained. But the thing that really annoys me, Rogue knows what's going on. So instead of telling the Doctor, he says, "Think about this. Tables shouldn't do that." I mean, don't give a riddle. Just say, "Hey, Doctor, we've got 30 seconds to talk. You're trapped in a wish world. The cups are falling through because it's distraction, because when you have doubts and slips and things like that, you give a riddle." I don't know if there had been a plot reason why you couldn't say it directly or something like that. And the other thing, I wouldn't have even brought Rogue back. He was in a single episode that everybody hated last year. Why couldn't that have been Susan delivering the message to the Doctor? It would have been much better having the Doctor's granddaughter coming through, even if it was a riddle, which would have sort of still annoyed me. At least you'd have got more than just a flash of Carol Ann Ford. Already a lot of things happening in this episode. Why bringing back another returning character like that? That was just not needed for me.
Yep. Siren's Audio joined us. G'day, fellas. How you going? The only thing I can think of is whether if he had a thought, "Hey, Docky, dude, guess what? There's all this dodgy stuff going on." Maybe John Smith may have said, "Nah, I don't believe a word of it." Maybe just needed to figure it out himself. I don't know. But I agree with you bringing Rogue back and go, "Come on, what was the deal with that?" So, but anyway, whatever. Still sticking with the bads, Mr. Aaron.
So, just because the episode says within the narrative of the episode, "This is just exposition, Doctor, we have to tell you that," doesn't get you off the hook for too much exposition. Here's the thing that I don't get. The Rani takes him up there. If it had gone through that barrier and he'd got his memories back, that would make sense. But the Rani starts telling him about the Time Lords and Gallifrey and stuff like that, and that starts making the Doctor doubt things. Hold on a second. You have Conrad reading that 24 hours a day with the Doctor hearing about himself and Time Lords and the Rani and all this other stuff. So he's already hearing all of that. It just seems a bit, I don't know, convoluted plan that they're already feeding that to the Doctor. And what breaks him out of it is the Rani tells him exactly the same stuff that he's been seeing on television every single day.
Yes. I don't know, dude. I just don't. Russell said it's annoying too because you can't remember a lot of the recent characters. Look, I have no problem with the fact that they drip feeding characters from previous series, but it just seemed a bit wanky that Rogue should just have to turn back up. No, I love you thing. It's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Build a bridge. What else is look, the Truman Show? What else is on a different station? Let's have a look and see what the deal is. All right, but we're still sticking with it. Omega, mate, what's the deal with that?
So, look, it's not just that it's Omega and the Rani, or Omega, and it's Russell T Davies' formula for the end of the series. Series 1, surprise, the Daleks and the Emperor are back. Series 2, surprise, the Cybermen and the Daleks. They've teamed up and they're back. Series 3, surprise, the Master is back. Series 4, surprise, Davros is back. That was the end of his sort of general series. He comes back. End of Series 1 for Disney, surprise, Sutek's back. End of Series 2 for Disney, surprise, the Rani and Omega are back. They are scraping the bottom of the barrel of returning characters. Like you said, you didn't know who the Rani is. No one's going to know who Amiga is. He was last in the series season 20 in 1983. So he's only been in 2 stories. He is an important person. They have name dropped him before. I would have liked if they had built it up more to him being back by like bigging up how important he was in Time Lord history. But it just seems like a grab bag of like villains that fit the role. I said last week, it's probably better than having the Master back doing the same thing again, because they could have done this with the Master. But Omega is one of those, heard it as a rumor for a while and thought, oh, I really hope they don't do that. As a fan, it's cool, but for everyone else, they're just going to be scratching their head going, who is this dude?
Yeah, which was me. It was very funny. My other half, she hasn't watched this week's episode or last week's episode, and I actually said to her, look, there's going to be things in it you're just not going to understand. It is for the hardcore fans. And I'm not opposed to that. Because in Star Wars, for example, there's a lot of stuff that goes on that only Star Wars fans will understand. But yes, it will alienate a core audience. I totally get it. But by the same token, if you introduce somebody brand new, you've got to explain who they are and their background and their history. I'm not entirely against it, even if myself personally, I didn't understand what was going on. Marcus said, I'm sorry. You don't have to be sorry, dude. It's not your fault. Some ideas don't make sense. I wonder who reviews the script. And how's this for Christy? Cop this. Nobody wants to torture a proofreading the script. Oh, if you don't mind, umpire. Yeah, cop that, Russell T. Nick said, yes, definitely should have been the Drashings. I don't know why. I assume you know what that is.
I'm hoping the Drashings are breaking through from the underworld and Omega is riding them. That would be cool. That would be cool.
Very, very cool. I've got no idea what the friggin' are you talking about. Russell said it's fan service instead of good plotting. It depends on your perspective, but I guess it is. And Marcus said, I haven't read this yet. I hope the Omega card is played well, but I suspect we'll fall into another dog leash. It'll be like Barbara Woodhouse used to do walkies, and she's got all these Doki connected to all these different things. Sutek's over there, and Omega's over there, and Rani's over there. Where are we going with this? Anyway, sticking with the bads, Mr. Aaron.
No, we're going across to the uglies now.
Oh, so we're in the uglies. I wasn't even paying attention. Oh, hang on. Got to do the promo. Anyway, fans, that's the end of the bad. I wasn't watching. We're into the bads, now into the uglies, which is where Aaron gets to talk about all his theories and views and ask all these questions. So I know it's 9 o'clock nearly. Stick with it, fans. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up, including the end of this episode where we're going to announce something mega, mega groovy. So don't run away just yet. There you go, dude.
Well, we don't want to over-egg the pudding. It's a little bit cool. But
yellow cups all around.
The Rani is in good form when she's turning the kids into ducks. Their father couldn't believe it. He thought he was on Quack. But she has turned people into different things before. In Mark of the Rani, she turned people into trees, and that was through a chemical process. And you can see at the top right there, it's a bit hard to see, but that's Perry being molested by a tree in Mark of the Rani. The other thing that I thought was very cool, and I never thought I would ever bring this show up on our podcast because it's just the worst Doctor Who spin-off ever, but Class, the Doctor Who spin-off that happened about 10 years ago. There was one episode where the villains were villainous, almost like piranha petals. And when Violet was turned into petals, it really reminded me of the special effects in Class. It was called Bravish Heart, the episode where they were attacked by alien petals. And you can see the man staggering down the street being eaten by petals in that episode. So there's... Okay, sorry.
That's what they call flower powered. I was just thinking, right? So the dude looks at his kids, and all of them all been turned into ducks, right? His missus is now turned into a bunch of flowers, and he's probably sitting there thinking, "Well, I'm a bit peckish at the moment. What's on the menu tonight, boys? Who's first up?" And of course, they'll all be in different sizes, from the oldest to the youngest. Well, like in the next 6 days are all taken care of.
What would have been very cool when he turned into an owl, he looked at the ducks and he went across to swoop, and it just cut away, because owls would probably eat ducks.
Well, there you go. Was Class and Russell T Davies show? I'm assuming not. Is that correct?
No, it was actually a Moffat show. It was the Capaldi era. The Doctor showed up in the final episode, I think, with the Weeping Angels in Class, but it was one of those crossovers that was very hard to view. It wasn't a very good show at all.
So YouTube's going faster than you do, but he's already answered the question. So he compiled an eerie spin-off, which was very, very cool. And Chrissy said the pedals are tied to a Torchwood episode as well. So yeah, there you go. Very, very cool. She loves me, he loves me not. Very good. All right, we're sticking with the uglies, Mr. Aaron. What's going on? Sturm and Drung. What's that?
So this was another one of those weird things. They're in Bavaria. Obviously, her TARDIS is translating, so everything's in English, except for when she says we should call the baby the Stern and Drung or whatever, which it should have been Storm and Stress, which is exactly what you get when you have a baby anyway. And so there was a movement that was called that in Germany, which is interesting. And I don't know if that was chosen as a name for any particular reason. And there's also a band called Lamb of God, which has used that as one of the titles of their actual albums. And again, I looked into it to see if there was any hidden meaning. Probably not. So it was just one of those weird lines that I thought should probably have just been in English.
Yeah, no, fair enough too. Yeah, all good. All groovy. All right, now you're talking about the book. Okay, the one that the prop collectors are going to be making before their very eyes. Looks like a Harry Potter book, mate.
It does. So they've obviously gone for Harry Potter, and that's interesting because, you know, J.K. Rowling has a whole issue of of problems with the I guess the community, the trans community and things. So they've still gone with it. It's obviously a parody of the book's cover. As Nick said, it's by I.M. Foreman, and I.M. Foreman was another alias the Doctor went for right back in the very first episode. You can see the gates of the junkyard. Ian calls him Dr. Foreman at one point, and the Doctor goes, "What's he talking about?" And so we had John Smith and I.M. Foreman in this episode as aliases for the Doctor. And him reading to the audience about Doctor Who has happened once in Doctor Who before, kind of, in Remembrance of the Daleks, which was set in 1963. Ace leaves a room in the evening and the TV is still on, and it talks about the new science fiction series about to start, Doc, and then it cuts to the next scene. So there are some meta things in Doctor Who. This is obviously the biggest one. We've spoke a lot this series. Is this season of Doctor Who all fictional because of all the weird stuff that's happened and with them addressing the audience and breaking the fourth wall? I hope this would explain it, but it didn't, because the actual fictional stuff is happening within the story. So that still hasn't been explained as to why Mrs. Flood can talk to the audience and know the Doctor's story and things like that.
Yeah, you're jumping ahead a little bit of your own slides at the moment because that's coming up a bit later on. Sirens of Audio said the newbies are going to know all about I.M. Foreman, aren't they? Yeah, obviously it's just meant to be just an Easter egg. That's what it's not like they go, "Oh my God, it's I.M. Foreman wrote this book." Yeah, it's all good. As a non-fan, yeah, I get it. If it pushes people's buttons, then yeah, all good. So yeah, no problems at all.
Here's some interesting stuff. There is a painting called The Son of Man, and I think everyone would know it. It's the one with the guy who's dressed in a bowler hat and a suit. He's got an apple in the front of his face. A lot of the people in this episode, including the Doctor, were dressed exactly like that. I don't know if it was a coincidence. I don't know if the name of the painting, The Son of Man, had anything to do with it, especially as this series seems to have a lot to do with babies and birth. And we're looking at Gallifrey, where you haven't got Time Lords anymore, and maybe the Rani is doing some experiment with the space babies, or with with genetics to try and bring Gallifrey back in a population. So that was interesting. Now, when I saw these people walking around, it reminded me of a scene. I think you would know this straight away, Dax, from The Matrix, where again they're in a fictional reality, and the woman with the red dress is what gets noticed. And when the people part, you will see Ruby is in the red dress in this one as well. I don't know if that would just be a coincidence or not, but it was very, very similar. And obviously the hell dimension that Rogue is in is a very similar hell dimension to Vigo the Carpathian from Ghostbusters 2, because it's very similar colouring and background in both of those images.
Yeah, I think some is probably a bit of a fluke. I didn't twig on the Matrix connection, mainly because she wears the jacket over the top. But yeah, it's a pretty good observation. So yeah, and the whole thing with the bowler hat, I thought that was kind of cool. It's like, okay, they've obviously gone the bowler hat for a reason. So maybe you're right. Maybe it is a direct reference to the book. So yeah, definitely good pickup. And the fact that you're right, everybody looks the same. That is designed so everybody treats everybody exactly the same, if that makes sense. It's the THX 1138 sort of scenario when you sit and think about it, which is particularly groovy.
So here's something really interesting that I'd be very surprised if anyone else had picked up. The Voigt Bladen energy to power of 5, which is the energy they're using to power the device. Russell T Davies loves his anagrams, and Voigt Bladen is an anagram of belated Sony TV. And I don't know if people know the background, but when Russell T Davies and Bad Wolf were bringing Doctor Who back, they were shipping around for different streaming services to co-fund it, and they eventually went to Disney, and they announced Disney, and then Sony bought Bad Wolf. So you had Sony buying Bad Wolf and not having Doctor Who because they'd already done a deal with Disney. Now Disney has pulled out. Sony have belatedly got Doctor Who if the series continues with Bad Wolf. So that's one of those interesting little anagrams that, not many people would pick up, if anyone.
Just going back to the look of the city, Russell said about the city jet was a British establishment stereotype for many years. That's obviously clearly intended, but as to why Conrad would have thought that is another thing. But, it works. The look works and the hat is cool. So it brings out the British stereotype, which is very, very groovy. So as you said, yeah. Oh.
So we're having Omega come back. It's confirmed. We've been talking about this for a while. The last time Omega came back, he went to Amsterdam, obviously because of the Moulin Rouge and the red light district. If any alien was going to come to Earth, that's a good place to start their invasion. But the really interesting thing about having Omega back, and it could be something that happens next week, and if it is, they've kept it a really amazing secret. It could be played by Peter Davison, who was the Fifth Doctor, because the last time Omega broke into our universe, he needed a Time Lord body. So he stole the bio-extract of the Fifth Doctor, Peter Davison, and made a body for himself. Omega is antimatter, he needed a matter body, and it was Peter Davison. So Peter Davison was playing Omega. So as far as we know, Omega was expelled back to the world of antimatter, and he was still looking like Peter Davison. If he comes back next week, it could be that they have Peter Davison playing Omega, because that was the last form that he appeared. Someone told me that he had played Omega in a Big Finish audio, so that would be very cool. I think it'd be the first time something like that had actually happened, where a returning villain was played by a previous Doctor.
So you've got the Rani, who's the baddie, trying to bring back Omega, who's another baddie. Is that right? Why?
Yeah.
Just, do you know what? Do you know why that would be the case?
No. Well, I'm going to talk about that. Go to the next slard. Actually.
That's okay. No, all good. Because, stupid people like me going, I got no figure. Why is one bad guy trying to bring back another bad guy? How many bad guys does this place need?
Well, if we go back, the last time Omega Copte mentioned was the Day of the Doctor, where where it was talked about that he was in the... sorry, I'm getting feedback on myself.
No, it sounds okay here, but do what you need to do.
So the last time he was mentioned, they talked about the Omega Arsenal, and the Omega Arsenal is where the moment was, and the moment has some purple lights on, which is very similar to the color of the Rani sonic screwdriver. So I am wondering if she knows about the Omega Arsenal, and she is going to be trying to get some stuff out of that, and that's why she's bringing Omega back. I do wonder if they're going to go into the fiction in the Big Finish and the New Adventure books, and she's going to look for looms, which are the way Time Lords reproduce when they became sterile in the expanded universe, because the Rani is into genetics, and obviously there's only two Time Lords left, and I think she wants to bring back Gallifrey. So maybe we will be going down this path next week.
Looms, eh? It sounds very, very exciting. So, okay, as soon as you started down that path, I was going, oh, here we go, the docu, what do you call it? Just like it's an overload, but that's okay. I'm sure there are fans out there going, oh my God, the loom, that is the coolest thing I've heard all day. All good.
And again, I've got the pictures of the looms there from the Doctor Who Wikipedia. And maybe it's the Rani behind the space babies, because we never met the parents of the space babies and they were just left. And if one of them appears to be the Doctor's daughter, and he does say in the episode, hang on, the baby is real, I have a daughter, do you know what this means? It means that the Rani's probably been experimenting on the Doctor for a while and he might not know. So we could be looking at a whole lot of different revelations next week.
Marcus said, all those questions in the old days is like only like 4 or 5 minutes ago. Dags was when the Doctor used to say, I'll explain later. I got no idea what's going on. It's like, you weren't here like last week for Mark, but when Susan popped up, both Nick and Aaron behind me go, oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever. And I go, who the freaking hell's that? It's good to be ignorant sometimes. What can I say? But yes, very, very cool.
Now, here's something I don't think anyone else has noticed anywhere. So, do you know the story in the engine when the barber was gathering stories and they were powering the engine? They had a green light and a red light. Now, guess what? In this episode, they had the green light and the red light, and it was kind of hidden in the unit headquarters. And I don't know if anyone has seen that. They're definitely the same housings and the same colours and the same casings as the one from the story and the engine. So I do wonder if there is another massive story engine being powered by Connor that is going to be revealed. I did think the story engine was a TARDIS. Maybe the one that was in the story and the engine was the Rani's TARDIS or something like that, and it's going to be revealed. It could be a coincidence, but I don't know why they would use the same lights, the same colours with the same housings on a previous episode in this episode. If you look in the last picture in the bottom right corner there, you can see that's when they're looking at the Rani through unit headquarters, and the little lights, the green one is lit up. I don't think the other one is, or it might be on the other side in that scene as well. What do you think? Do you think that might come back into it, or do you think I'm just seeing too much?
No, I think you're saying too much. I think they would have used them just purely because they already had the props, keeping in mind that the structure of the lower light is different to the structure of the above light. There's the framework going around this one here, but here there's two frameworks going around. But they are the same shaped light. There's no denying that. But you'll probably find it's purely just from a production perspective. Hey, we need a red light and a green light. Oh, here's one we prepared earlier. And as Christy said, as a long-time fan, I'm still going, half the time. I'm not even a fan, and I'm going, all the damn time. So there you go. But you never know. It's certainly possible, right? You can write a whole thesis about red lights and green lights, especially if you've seen Squid Game. But yes, you never know. But they are the same, but slightly different, which if they had been identically the same, then you might have been onto something, but they are slightly different for one reason. There are 4 lights for anybody who likes their Star Trek, which is very, very cool. Yes, very good stuff.
And some parallels with the Rani here. In the Rani's bone palace, they have a giant mirror ball, which you do in your bone palace, especially if you're trying to attack that kind of clientele. The Rani has previously had something like that in Time in the Rani, where they have in the Lacertian center of Ledger a giant ball from the roof, and that was full of deadly bugs. So I do wonder if the Rani's mirror ball will come in and have something inside it, or it's just like mirroring what they did in a previous episode with the Rani. And when the Rani dances, this has happened in a lot of episodes before. You've had the Master dancing to the Scissor Sisters, and you've had the other Master, a later regeneration of the Master, dancing to Boney M, and here we had the Rani dancing as well. So they love their dancing in Doctor Who, especially in the series finales.
Yeah, they're going to have to stick in some Duggadoo just to finish it off. Interesting question, Russell. Is the last episode going to be extra long? If it is, I'll tell you what, we're going to be on air here for hours.
It is extra long, but I think it's like just over an hour instead of 50 minutes.
It's called the Subway episode. It's not 6 inches, it's the foot long. So. Shut up. No. Don't go anywhere. Moving on.
And again, there's been a repetition through the last couple of years of them saying once upon a time. The Rani was saying once upon a time you and I danced, and Conrad was saying once upon a time when he was talking about the Doctor, and in the story in the engine. We had the Doctor saying "Once upon a time," and this whole reboot started with David Tennant saying "Once upon a time, Lord." I noticed these repetitions. I don't know if it's just the writers who are writing them use the same kind of terms all the time, or if there is something to it. But I do find they keep telling the audience "Once upon a time" like this is fictional and Doctor Who isn't real or something.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that at all. So very, very cool. Oh, this looks very exciting stuff. Fans, get your nerd hats on because we're going full conspiracy theory. What's the deal with the Black Archive, dude?
Okay, when you have Shirley's iPad, you can zoom in on it and you can read everything that's there, and pretty much everything is corrupted files, but the Black Archive is still there. And the Black Archive is the fantastic unit archive where they take all the crashed UFOs, all the dead bodies, all the alien tech, and all the stuff like that. That is the cleanup after the episodes we see. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's there, because next week they release something from the Black Archive to maybe fight the Rani. Now, what are they going to release? The Master, because the Master's tooth came out of the Celestial Toymaker's mouth, and we saw someone pick it up. I think Kate picked up the Master's tooth and put it in the Black Archive, probably in the cell next to the Celestial Toymaker, who's covered with salt. If this really is the end of the era for Russell T Davies and the production team is changing, I could see them pulling out all stops and having the Master working with Unit. I don't think they'd bring the Celestial Toymaker back, but something out of the Black Archive. Why would they put that on the screen if they're not going to release something from the Black Archive?
Yeah, because if they take the tooth, then they're just trying to get to the root of the problem. Here's a question for you. For those who are watching this screen, they're all corrupted, but Stewart, who's Stewart? What's the story with that dude, mate?
That's Kate Lethbridge Stewart.
Yeah, but why she got a folder, dude? Hey, in this
know.
fake wish world, what is the? Come on, dude. Where's the uglies? I want the conspiracy theories about the fact that Lethbridge Stewart has actually got a folder on this laptop, on this bloody iPad thing, in this fake world. Dude, come on. Go the full nerd talk on me, man.
Maybe. I've got it. They're going to release Rod Stewart from the
Rod Stewart. It's the wrong Stewart. So that'll be it, right? So the Doctor and Rod's are going to be standing next to each other, and because Rod's singing, "Do you think I'm sexy?" And anyway, where are we going with that? Anyway, so
do you know what he is?
What?
He's the Rod Stewart of Rassilon. That's a funny joke for Doctor Who fans.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, if you're going to watch next week's episode to see Omega, don't worry about watching that watch, because we've actually got a watch called Omega.
Well, I don't know if this was on purpose at all. I don't know if you noticed this in this episode. There were a lot of watch and clocks. It opens up in the Doctor's bedroom on a watch. It opens up on the unit headquarters on a clock. It opens up on the Rani's Bone Palace with that giant clock as well. What clocks and watches? Omega. Maybe they did it on purpose to signpost it was going to be Omega, because Omega are famous for watches and clocks.
So what time is it? It is time to bring or release Omega. Marcus said the brig comes out of mothballs, to say that he's like spitting him out of his mouth or something. Oh my goodness gracious, man. This one I did actually like. Yeah, very, very cool.
So we have the scene where you have the Rani flying around on a rocket cycle or something like that, and it is...
Was it a Hawkman rocket cycle?
Yeah, send out War Rocket Ajax to bring back her body. But I did think it's a very iconic looking science fiction. It probably wasn't done deliberately, but it echoed Flash Gordon, it echoed the Green Goblin, it even echoed the Wizard of Oz when they're looking at her through the Venetian blinds. It looked very much like the witch flying around from the Wizard of Oz. So some very iconic looking images of the Rani that echo a lot of famous science fiction.
Yeah, totally agree with you. You could go Flash Gordon quotes all day long. There was a question here, or are they referring to the Doomsday Clock? What do you think?
They could be. That's an interesting theory that I hadn't thought about. Obviously, the clock is ticking down, and it's all part of the Vindicator with the big clock in the Rani's place. When that hits 24th of May, so we're going to see some real shit happen.
Exactly. Gregor said he thought of Flash Gordon to Heckage, not absolutely, because she's flying blind. The Rani's flying blind on a Hawkman rocket cycle. So there you go.
Yeah.
Very
And
cool.
Greg, next time you come in, I'll use the boar worms on you. So,
Oh, not the ball worms. Oh, mate.
so there was a
Actually,
lot of
Doctor Who's a bit like that. It's the ball worms. Like, come on, get this episode over and done with.
So there was a lot of watch and clock imagery in this. The one in the Rani's Bone Palace, I'm going to say that as many times as I can, Bone Palace, was very reminiscent of the one in Gormenghast, which was a BBC TV series based on a Neil Gaiman book. So I did think some of the inspiration might have come from that, or they might have just had a big freaking clock in storage and pulled the same one out, kind of thing. But it's a very iconic look. I did think it was great, and that'll be a set that a lot of people remember.
Well, when it comes to big ass clocks, you got to hand it to the Rani. Oh dear, dear, dear. Anyway, so sticking with, here we go. We're still going.
So a lot of the imagery from this reminded me of other stuff. The Rani's Bone Palace would have been straight out of a Hans Rudy Geiger image. That's H.R. Geiger for people who don't know. It's very reminiscent of a lot of the work he did with bones. The pictures there are from the Geiger bar in Switzerland, which is all done with these fantastic bones and shapes that look like bones. And then some of the imagery remind me of Pan's Labyrinth as well. Del Toro and some of his imagery was definitely in this. And I think that adds to sort of almost the fairy tale quality of this episode. Once upon a time, Red Riding Hood at the start, imagery that looks very fantasy and things like that. So I did think you love it or hate it, this series of Doctor Who, you can't fault the production design.
I gotta love this one. I thought the ball worms were hosts who crap on too long. That's us. And guess what? We haven't finished. We're still going. But this is the last of our uglies before we get into some serious questions. So here you go. Crapping on too long. That's definitely our shtick.
So some of this, I think Dags mentioned earlier, but the Bone Palace remind me of a lot of things from science fiction. The planet engines from Man of Steel. You had the tripods even from War of the Worlds. I guess when you get something that big, there's only so many ways you can shoot it. So I guess that you're going to see the similarities, but it has a lot of good sci-fi heritage, and the look was great. And the other thing that you mentioned, I really, really hope they don't do this. I really hope they don't have on her laptop or on her iPad a way to, ID for it and download a virus into the Rani's Bone Palace and cause a total collapse because somehow the Wi-Fi is strong enough and the program works and things like that. So what Christy was saying earlier, I really hope they don't do that. But I could see it happening too.
Take a leaf out of ID4's book. As Christy said, can't fault the design, can definitely fault the scripts. The production design, a lot of these shows has actually been quite good. Now, fans, that's the end of the uglies. And what we got here is a whole stack of questions. This is for everybody watching, not just for me, because I'm not going to know the answer. And there's a whole bunch of them. We've got 2 slides, and then we're sort of done. So just sit tight. Don't run away just yet. And we've got our big announcement at the end. I'm building it up because it's going to be a cool thing. So don't run away, fans. It's the penultimate episode. Next episode, we're finished. So stick around, fans, because we've got some questions. Go for it, Mr. Aaron.
So usually we talk about conspiracies, but we've done with the conspiracies. I want answers. I want some hard answers. If the series is really going away for a couple of years, they need to put a full stop and underline some stuff that they've been crapping on about for a couple of years. So why can Mrs. Flood talk to the audience? She did it for last series and this series quite regularly, breaking the fourth wall. It better not be just, oh, she was the Rani and they're never going to address that again. That would really suck. If they did something like she was telling us, the audience, the story of the Doctor, and it's all fictional within this fictional wish thing, something like that would work. At least it satisfies me. Crap as it would be, at least they answer the question that they've put out there. So I hope they explain why Mrs. Flood can talk to the audience. Why did the Doctor go and find Belinda in episode 1? In episode 1, the Doctor doesn't randomly bump into Belinda. He finds her. He is looking for her because probably Conrad told to go and find her. I really hope that that isn't forgotten and they do show why he goes back before this series starts and finds Belinda. Maybe the Doctor dies in this episode and an earlier version of him has to go back and get Belinda to change things or something like that. But they've set that up. I really hope they don't just forget about it.
Just for the answer to the previous question, if they don't answer the question the way you wanted answered, I just want you to say, you suck! Stick with the questions. Number 3, why is Ruby special?
Why is Ruby special and not in a wheelchair special, in that she can make it snow, she can like perceive things that are beyond her reality, she can walk between dimensions like in 73 yards, she can see in this reality that things aren't right and she doubts and she knows things. They've set her up twice as being something a bit special. Last year they said, nah, you weren't special at all. I really hope that this year they go, oh, we were wrong. This is why you're special or something like that. I really hope that she isn't just another forgotten plot end that gets swept under the carpet.
Why is Ruby special? Because Millie is a better actor than Shooty is, in my opinion. So, yes. What is all this once upon a time stuff? Is the Shooty era fictional?
Well, that's what I've been saying. They've been breaking the fourth wall. The first series, the Doctor and Ruby often broke the fourth wall and looked at the audience. The Doctor has said multiple times, once upon a time. Characters have said multiple times, once upon a time. They've had the story and the engine. We've had this episode where everything's fictional and a story about the Doctor. I really hope they just like explain something as to why they were breaking the fourth wall. They don't have to have this massive backstory, but it would be really nice if, maybe after this finished, you saw that we watched the fictional version of what happened on the BBC and there's like a step back. But I would really like some explanation for why this has been so weird the last couple of years.
Very cool. Salt, Mavity, by something or other. Is it all connected?
Yeah, the casting of the salt that released the gods, did it? Was that the reason? The Doctor thought maybe, he wasn't sure. Mavity, they created Mavity instead of gravity by changing history and it's stuck. Last week we heard about the Mavity bubble and all of that, so it's still there. Are we in an alternate universe where there is Mavity instead of gravity? Will we find out next week and jump back into our universe? And that's why everything was a bit strange and fictional and stuff. And I meant by regeneration. Are we going to get an explanation as to why suddenly all Time Lords bioregenerate? I thought with the Doctor's regeneration, maybe the toy maker made it go wrong. Now the Rani has done it too. Has the Rani been experimenting to recreate Gallifrey and life, and rather than Time Lords regenerate, they bioregenerate? I want answers.
Mate, tell you what, I'm completely with you. Give me some responses out there, fans, if you know this stuff. All right, keep going. Seal the universe up and expel magic and the gods.
So will we get, at the end of this series, a conclusion to sort of this 2-year story arc where at the beginning, the Doctor was at the edge of the known universe and cast salt, and then he said that might have let the gods escape. Do we have this nice conclusion where that is resolved and all the magic and witchcraft and fantasy stuff goes back into that universe and Doctor Who becomes science fiction again? No more goblins, no more fairy wings, no more wishes, no more gods. Get back to Daleks invading frickin' London.
Totally agree with you on that one. Absolutely fantastic. All right, question 7. What about Gallifrey? Destroyed in the Time War by the Master, by Cybermen?
So again, I don't know. Russell T Davies seems to just, I don't know, forgot or haven't explicitly explained which version of the destruction of Gallifrey. Going back to Last of the Time Lords sounds like he's gone back to the Time War destruction of Gallifrey, but Gallifrey came back. It came through Amy's crack. It came back and then it was destroyed again by the Time Lords and they all became Cyber Lords. And then we heard about the Timeless Child and all stuff like that. Are we still in the Timeless Child universe where that's how Gallifrey was destroyed? Because we've seen the Joe Martin Doctor, so we should be, but it sounds like they're talking about the Time War version of destruction. Will we have a definitive answer as what frickin' happened to Gallifrey?
Mate, Aaron is frustrated. You can tell, can't you? Can we finish this series with people sitting around a campfire telling stories and they have to start with Once Upon a Time? No, they're going to start with Row, Row, Row Your Boat if they're going to sit around a campfire. All right.
Yes.
There was always a room for a Star Trek 5 gag in there somewhere. Okay, question 8. Were the Docky and the Rani lovers? What is the deal with that?
You can't just drop that last episode and then not explain if they were or they weren't. I was hoping that might be the thing that triggered his memory, and he says we absolutely weren't. But could the Rani be Susan's mother or Susan's grandmother? Like, we've never really explored the old doctors having relationships with other Time Lords or Time Ladies before. So there might be some change to canon happening.
So you should have rephrased the question. Were the Doctor and the Rani doing the bizzo?
Were they bumping
doing the bizzo?
sonics?
Exchanging sonics. What about Susan? Will she be given a proper with 2 P's return?
This is me like typing too fast. Will she be like I haven't got those long fingers like dishwashing liquid we're soaking in it. Will she actually be given a proper return? Will she meet the Doctor? Will she be cast off just on the video screen again and it doesn't happen? I want a definitive wrap-up. I want the Doctor to introduce Susan to his companions and say, this is my granddaughter, and then explain about, the continuity and what happened. It's an hour freaking long episode. Put it in, Russell T Davies.
Yeah, exactly right. That's why the last point, number 10, is not a question. Just wrap up the plots from the last 2 years. Is that right, Mr. Aaron?
Yeah, I'm not hopeful on this. I'm not hopeful. But we've only got, 5 days to wait, and we find it all out, or 4 days to wait. So I just want, okay, let's say there's 10 plot points up in the air that they've been juggling. Just definitively answer 5 of them. Get those ones out of the way. So if I say, oh, they didn't explain this, but they did explain that, at least I can be a little bit happy with the way they've come down with the writing on this. It's looking more and more likely that Doctor Who's going back into hiatus for a couple of years. Please don't drop the...
Go on.
Please don't drop the ball on this episode. Russell T Davies usually does a really, really good second last episode, and then the wheels fall off with Ocky straps on the last episode. Hopefully this time round we've had a middling second last episode and we have a freaking amazing last episode that totally lands the season, but who knows?
Rose, sit tight. Marcus said Aaron is getting flustered thanks to Russell T Davies. Okay, mate, it's all fairy tale. It's only the last 2 years do not exist. It's just a TV show. And Rose has joined us. Hey, do you think it'll do a time warp? There's just a jump to the left. It'll be a timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, whatever it's called. And do you think we'll have the greatest... hang on, what? Do you think we'll have the greatest and then we'll all be left hanging again? So,
well, there's rumors of what's going to happen. There's rumors of what's going to happen before it goes into hiatus. And if they do it, everyone's going to be freaking going, what the hell is happening next? But we won't talk about that till next week.
Indeed. They won't drop the ball. It'll be a box of grenades. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the episode. Freaking nearly an hour and a half into it. It's twice as long as the actual episode itself. So we've got to read this in Rotten Time Lords. So this is Aaron's rating. Of course, it can be out of all the masters. And the lower the masters, the better the episode was. And the more masters, the crap it was. And he's got 3 masters. So it's about 6 out of 10. Is that right there, Mr. Aaron, give or take?
Yeah, I think the series started strong. And about midway through, it's gone a little bit down. This was entertaining. It frustrated me, though. There was a lot of things I wanted them to do and talk about that they didn't. And then there was a lot of other things that they went on about that I think they went about on too much. The structure of this series seems really weird. I kind of wish that they hadn't revealed the Rani in the Eurovision episode and she was revealed as the big bad guy in this episode and then maybe save Omega for the finale or something like that. I don't know if this happened and was changed behind the scenes. It just seems like a lot of the story beats just aren't quite perfect. Who knows, though? Next week could be absolutely amazing. And a lot of the bads this week depend on how they finish off the story next week. Obviously, if they explain what the big dinosaurs are and it's a cool explanation, then this week is fine. But I'm just reviewing it on this episode at the moment.
Very, very cool. That actually brings us to the end, and I'm just doing something very, very quickly in preparation for our big announcement. So you're not going to believe what's going to happen next week, fans, because there's something very, very cool. I'm about to put a slide up, which I'm putting together right even as we speak, regarding the screening, right? Forget your premiere screenings over in England and all this sort of shit. We're going to be having one ourselves. How good is that, Mr. Aaron? Give us the spiel. We only just thought of this a couple of days ago, but we're going to announce it tonight. What is the deal with the big reveal, with the spiel with the big reveal on regarding the screening of the last episode, dude?
Well, one of the things I get asked the most is how can I watch an episode with a cool guy like you and Dags? And one of the ways we could do this, is maybe do a screening in the shop. Dags and I often watch the new episode, which drops at about 5 o'clock after the shop closes on a Saturday. Sometimes Nick's there, sometimes other people, but most of the time it's just us. This next episode is a bit special because they're holding the screening worldwide till it's been shown in the UK because they don't want there to be any spoilers. So that means the episode is going to drop on Disney Plus 3 a.m. Sunday morning. And we say that, challenge accepted. So what we're going to do this Saturday, I'm going to have a sale in the shop just for Saturday. We've had a few sales recently, so this might be the last one for a while. 25% off in the shop. We will close at 6, and then we're going to go around the corner to our favorite Indian restaurant. Anyone who wants to come and join us is welcome to. It's just pay your own way, so you can get some pumpadums and an entree, or you can go the full hog. But we will chat about science fiction stuff and what we think is going to be in the latest episode and what we thought of the series and other stuff as well, so we don't put Dags to sleep. Then I'm going to go back and we're going to open the shop and we're going to stay there till 3 a.m. And anyone who wants to can rock up at the shop at 3 a.m. and watch the episode live with us. Bring a deck chair because we haven't got a lot of furniture in the shop, but you can watch it live with us and a group of fans who love the show and Dags, and then we can have a discussion of it afterwards. What do you think of that?
What can I say? So I've just whipped this slide together so you can hear me typing on the microphone. Shop 3, number 1, Main Street, Blackburn. Look at that. So after hours, we're going to get dinner. We're going to kick back, chill out, watch some docky effing who. What could possibly go wrong? I mean, Jeepers Creepers. Oh, there we go. You can bring your own deck chair. You're gonna have to bring your own chair because we've got a shortage of chairs. We actually got a shortage of space as well. But yeah, 3 in the friggin' morning. So that'll be Sunday morning, won't it, dude?
It will be, and it'll only be the most dedicated and most hardcore people there, which probably means it'll be me and you, and a whole lot of just nothing. But there you go. That's a bit of a special event. Like used to do like all night screenings at cinemas, doesn't seem to happen anymore. I love the sci-fi community and I love stuff like this. So you don't have to come to dinner with us. If you're close, you can set your alarm. You can come over and watch it with us and then you can sleep in on the Sunday.
You know what the worst part is, fans? It was actually my idea because when they said the show's dropping at 3 a.m, I said, "Oh, why don't we just watch it in the store and watch it in the shop? Invite some dudes over and we can watch it at 3 a.m in the shop." Whose idea? But I thought I can't pass up on that. Even I'm going to turn up and go, "What the friggin' hell's the deal with these Ranis and Susans and all this other Rassilon shit?"
I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about Kelvin falling asleep and me not being able to wake him up and us having to roll him out the door.
Yes, very good. Definitely worth sleeping in my car for you and everybody else as well. Oh, here we go. We should stream the event. Who's going to be watching us live at 3 a.m? Yeah. Oh, goodness. I reckon that's a great idea. Well, we'll have to wait and see if that's even possible. So anyway, fans, that is the end of our episode. Over nearly an hour and 40 minutes into it. So it's our second. This is one. Last week will be our last one. So yes, we're going to do this event in the store. And then we're back the following Tuesday to talk about the event in the store as well as the episode. Mr. Aaron, how freaking nuts is that going to be?
An hour and 40 minutes, proving that just because it's big doesn't mean it's good.
Yes, exactly right. Anyway, well, that's the end of us. We've, as was mentioned by Russell earlier, we've crapped on long enough. Next week will probably be twice the length. Remember, it's not the 6-inch sub; it's the foot long.
From the Bone Palace.
From the bone palace, exactly right. Very good. In the meantime, go out, get yourself some yellow cups, yellow mugs. Mark, if you're watching, get your ass down to the store with some yellow mugs. I'm sure we'll be able to sell them. Capitalist dog prices are $60 each. It'd be fantastic. Oh, we're losing it here. What can I say? All right, any last words before we go, Mr. Aaron?
We should have got Maggi Cuppa Soup as our sponsors this week, shouldn't we?
Yeah, exactly right. Oh, yes. And of course, don't forget to bring your doggy ockies. And was it? Will be 3:50 a.m. as it starts at 6 or whatever. So okay, so it'll be like an hour of worth of 50 minutes of gas bagging and piss farting around. It should be a lot of fun. All right, Mr. Aaron, I'm going to leave you to it. I'll see you some ridiculous hour on the Saturday, mate. Everybody else, party hard, rock on, and thanks for joining us.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye.